In this tutorial, we are going to make the endgame screen of a memory game. So the endgame screen that we're going to make is this one. I've already prepared a few things since I already had it during the development. The things that I've prepared is we have this card, which is just this small background. We have a button to go back to the menu, then some description which will be filled in at random. Then we have title, of course, which will be set to victory or something else if you lose. And then the player itself. So later, when this game becomes multiplayer, you can actually have different players showing up with some statistic. So the statistic will be something that will show you how well you played this game. So it could be accuracy, for example. So the way that the game itself works is that if we go to the menu and we start, quickly play the easy game. Okay, so when the game finishes, we will now get to this screen, and now we want to display something. So for this short video, we'll start with only filling in the statistics that we actually got from the game. So when the game actually finishes, we write something to a local database, and this data we can then get from that database, and then we'll try to show it here. And we'll also add the different endgame texts that we actually have. So the text that we have, those are these that we'll add later. These lines that we have, we actually want to add them to a list. The only thing is that this one isn't prepared at the moment. So what we can do in Visual Studio Code at least is drag with middle mouse button, and then we can add the comma to everything. We don't need it for the last one, and this one we will copy. Then we'll stop the game for now. And then in our code we actually want to add some constants. So these constants will have all of the lines that I just mentioned. So we'll create a C# script. Let's call it endgame lines. And then we don't really need all of this, since this is just going to be a regular class. You'll create a static list of strings here. So this list of lines will now contain all of the lines that we actually want to use. And later we'll use these at random. Let's also remove the import, which we don't need, and add it to the correct location. Okay. I want to assign this title and description inside of our endgame menu. So what I've already done before is add the return button. So here we'll start with assigning the text mesh pros. I think these are both text mesh pro. So we'll call it title. And description. So here we will also add a start method. And for the description, if someone wins, we actually want to have some random line. So we'll take description text. Let's test if this works first. So now we can add our title here. This is not a text mesh, bro. It is. So this is actually a Text Mesh Pro GUI. And then let's try to add it again. To description and title. So we'll now start the game and we get, this is the end game description. So the first thing that we can do is to get one of the random descriptions that we had here in the end game lines. So to do this, we go back into our endgame menu. We'll get one of the lines at random. So endgame lines dot. See, this is private. It needs to be public. Lines. So what we can do here, we can first create a random value. And here we can use random.next. And then as a parameter, we can actually use the amount of lines that we have, basically. And we use count. So now this random.next will actually give us a random number that is, it starts with 0 always if you just give one number, and then it will go up until this count. So here we will actually have to use -1, since the count will always be higher than the value that we can actually use to get the line. So for example, if we have 10 lines in total, that means that in position 9, that is actually going to give us the 10th value. So we'll always have to do -1. So now when we start our game, each time we start it, we should get a different description here. So this is one of them. Okay, so this works as expected. So for now, we will actually always just set victory to the title itself. And the next thing that we have to do is to get the last entry that we have in our database. So this will always be the one that the player played at for the last time. So these are the statistics that we then want to actually mention here inside of the view. Okay, so now we will have to get our data from the database. So for database, I'm using Realm, which is just a local database that you can use anywhere. So we will have to get an instance, and this one is saved in our database location. And we're going to get these score entries. Okay. And for this one, we will get the last one. Score entry. So this will give us the last entry that we have in our database. And this is then, of course, something that we want to use for our player. So for now, let's just add the player name. And the statistic. So for the statistics, we're going to use turns, and then player name, of course, just the player name, which means that we'll have to use the player name text is score entry name. And for this, we're going to use the turns. Since this is an integer, we'll have to convert it into a string. So we will also have to add a description. The way that we can do this is to add the $sign, and then we'll add the turns. And then we can copy this one in brackets. And then this will allow us to actually add this variable, including with the string instead of the game. So let's restart the game. We'll first have to set these preferences. Forgot to do that. Okay, and now we can see the name, just a random line, and then the amount of turns that it took for the last game, which was 9 in this case. And that's it.